The church doors opened, and the photographer's camera flashed, but not once did my parents appear in any of those pictures. Every time the door creaked, I turned, hoping they'd finally walk in, but they didn't. They had other plans. Their reason. Your sister hasn't married yet, so it wouldn't look right if you go first. Before we move on, tell me in the comments where you're watching this from, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I bring you new true life stories every day, filled with drama, secrets, and moments that'll make you stop scrolling. I stood there that day in my wedding dress, surrounded by friends, flowers, and the kind of silence that hurts worse than shouting. My husband, Daniel, squeezed my hand under the table at the reception, whispering, "They'll regret this, you know." I forced a small laugh. "They already do," I said, lying through my smile. It wasn't the first time they'd favored Nora, my golden sister, the one who could do no wrong. I was the quiet one, the invisible backup singer to her spotlight. Nora had the perfect career, perfect fiancé, perfect social calendar. And now, apparently, she needed the perfect timeline too, mine erased so hers could shine first. When the night ended, I took off my dress and told myself I wouldn't cry. But as I sat watching the phone that never rang, a different resolve settled in. My parents didn't just miss my wedding, they stripped me of every illusion that I still needed their approval. That was the last time I waited for their applause. Because what happened afterward, what they never expected, would turn Nora's perfect world inside out and make every empty chair at my wedding look like poetic justice. 2 weeks after the wedding, Nora posted a caption under a photo of her diamond-studded brunch. "Family comes first, always." My name wasn't tagged, obviously, but the comment below from Mom sealed the humiliation. That's my girl. The one we're truly proud of. When I saw it, I didn't cry. I just closed the app and started making coffee, hence steady but cold. Daniel looked up from the table, newspaper in his hand. "You're going to answer them?" he asked carefully. "Not yet," I said. "They're about to answer themselves." Before we go any further, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what happened next turned their picture-perfect world upside down. 2 days later, I got an invitation, not to Nora's engagement party, but to my parents' new charity gala. Front page of the invite, hosted by the Everdell Family Foundation, a foundation that didn't exist until a year ago. Except it did. I built it, under my maiden name, before I got married. I'd created it to support young women in business, funded it quietly, never telling anyone. And that morning, Mom had unknowingly bragged about my foundation as if it were theirs. When I walked into that gala with Daniel, heads turned. My parents froze like I was a glitch in their perfect slideshow. "Chloe," Mom said tightly, kissing the air beside my cheek. "You didn't RSVP." "I wasn't invited," I answered. "But when I saw my foundation's logo on your invitations, I thought I should stop by." Dad straightened, fake smiling for guests who hovered close enough to eavesdrop. "Oh, sweetheart, people mix names all the time. You don't mind, do you?" "Actually," I said, "I'd mind less if you told the press you weren't donors. You were debtors. The foundation's taxes list every unpaid loan you took out to fund this event." Color drained from Mom's face, but she kept smiling. Guests glanced at one another, whispers rippling like static. Nora stepped forward, glittering in her gown. "Stop making a scene," she hissed. "This isn't about you." "No," I said quietly, "it's about truth, and you just happen to be standing in it." A journalist nearby, already uneasy, raised his phone camera. Dad muttered curses under his breath. Daniel just laced his fingers through mine, calm as ever. I stayed only long enough to watch their confidence crack under the weight of polite applause disguising pity. When we stepped outside, flashes from cameras lit the cold evening like fireworks. Daniel squeezed my hand again. "So," he said softly, "was that the revenge speech, or just part one?" I looked back at the glittering hall and the family who had erased me from their story. "Part one," I said. "The headline comes next." The headline surfaced the next morning before I was even awake. Daniel's phone buzzed until he handed mine over gently. Front page news. Gala scandal exposes false charity and hidden debts. Everdell family under fire. The attached photo showed my parents frozen mid-smile while security escorted guests from the ballroom. Downstairs, Daniel poured coffee and grinned. "They made page one," he said softly. I stared at the paper, The byline wasn't a stranger's. It was Nora Everdell. My perfect sister had written the article herself. Before I go further, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and make sure you subscribe. Because the way the story twists next will make you question every definition of loyalty and revenge you've ever known. I called her, half angry, half curious. "You blew up your own reputation too," I said when she answered. Her voice was tight but controlled. "Someone had to do it. I found out about the fake charity weeks ago, but Mom said it was temporary. They were going to pay it all back after my wedding. I couldn't stand lying anymore, and then you showed up. So you let me finish the job," I said quietly. "Maybe," she admitted. "You made it easier. Everyone's talking about honesty now, not scandal. People are actually donating to the Real Foundation." I went silent, glancing at Daniel across the table. There was a strange peace in her words. The sister who used to measure perfection in diamonds and applause suddenly sounded tired, human. "So what now?" I asked. "They've resigned from everything," she said. "Dad's under audit. Mom's hiding at Aunt Gail's. And she paused a heartbeat. "I called the reporter after I filed for my marriage license. Alex and I eloped last week." I smiled despite everything. "Congratulations." "Thanks," she said softly. "I wanted to tell you first. Maybe we can start over." "Might take a little work," I said. "But sure. Let's try honesty for a change." For the first time in years, Nora laughed. It wasn't sharp or staged. It was real. A week later, I received an envelope in the mail. Inside was a check made out to the Everdell Foundation with a note in Mom's handwriting. We were wrong. Do something good with it. I didn't answer her. I didn't need to. The next month, I helped open the Foundation's first free business clinic for women, named not after our family, but after the idea that had carried me through every empty seat in silence. On launch day, reporters asked if my parents were coming. I smiled straight into the camera. "They skipped my wedding," I said. "But maybe they taught me something about what not to worship. Family isn't about who shows up when people are watching. It's who stays when no one's applauding." 3 months later, the noise finally faded. The constant swirl of reporters, online debates, and gossip had quieted down. The city had moved on to fresher scandals. For the first time, I had mornings where peace didn't feel borrowed. But peace has a funny way of testing how much truth you can live with. Before I continue, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe, because sometimes the calm after the storm hides one last wave you never see coming. It happened on a windy Friday evening. I was closing up the new office when the front door opened, and a familiar perfume filled the air. My mother stood in the doorway, hair shorter now, expression stripped of the usual armor. No cameras, no perfect posture, just someone who looked tired. "I won't stay long," she said, her voice softer than I remembered. "I saw the clinic on the news. It's good." I didn't say anything right away. She looked smaller somehow, like years of pretending had finally weighed her down. "Why now?" I asked quietly. She took a breath. "Because you were right. About everything. Your father's still angry, but that's his way of hiding shame. Me, I miss my daughters." Her eyes glistened. She pressed a letter into my hand. "For you. And one for Nora. Your grandfather's will, it's been amended. It's yours, both of you. He wanted that fought-over money to finally build something clean." I studied her face, trying to find the old performance, but for once, there wasn't any. "You don't want to fix this for the cameras?" She smiled faintly. "Sweetheart, the camera stopped caring a long time ago. I just wanted you to know I see you now." She turned to leave, then paused in the doorway. "You were never supposed to be perfect, Chloe. You were supposed to be brave. You did that part better than any of us." When the door closed behind her, Daniel came out from the back room, having overheard just enough. He took my hand. "You okay?" "Yeah," I whispered, looking at the letter. "For once, I think everyone finally is." Outside, the wind caught the clinic's new sign, the gold words glinting under the fading sun, the Everdell Foundation, for women who choose their own time. The irony made me smile. The girl who once cried over empty chairs had built a place where no one would ever be left waiting again. Because being first to love, to risk, or even to fall doesn't make you wrong, it makes you real. A year later, The Everdell Foundation was alive with stories that had nothing to do with me. Women from towns I'd never heard of came through our doors, each chasing a different dream, each starting from the same kind of doubt I once carried. And every time one of them signed her first contract, got her first grant, smiled in quiet disbelief, I saw a little of the girl who had stood in an empty church waiting for parents who never came. I guess life found its strange symmetry. Nora and I now work side by side, rarely talking about the past but learning to read the unspoken things in each other's eyes. When she announced she was expecting her first child, Mom called that evening. The phone line shook with her breath. "I know I can't undo anything," she said. "Can I at least be there this time?" "Yeah," I answered. "Be there. That's all we ever wanted." Before hanging up, I stepped onto the clinic balcony. The city stretched below, golden windows catching the sunset. Daniel leaned on the railing beside me, smiling the way he did the night we married. Steady, certain, proud. "They finally came around," he said. "Maybe they didn't," I said quietly. "Maybe we just stopped needing them to." The wind carried laughter from the street. A group of graduates we'd sponsored were leaving with new business cards in their hands. Watching them felt better than revenge ever could. A year ago, I'd begged for my parents to witness my vows and my joy. Now it didn't matter who filled the seats, because I finally understood. Some absences make room for better things. I tucked a strand of hair behind my ear as the lights below came on one by one. "You know," I murmured, "if they ever ask how I got here." Daniel looked at me. "What will you tell them?" "That it started the day no one showed up." He smiled, squeezed my hand, and the moment felt complete. The girl whose wedding no one attended had built her own ceremony every day since, of love, courage, and second chances. That was the real story. That was the ending they never saw coming.